Hello, our viewers. A very good morning to you. My name is Patrick Ore. Once again, we meet this morning for our Sunday morning Bible study. You are welcome. Today, without wasting much of your time, we have there's a very critical question which I have asked. I know as you'll be following through Facebook, you will see what I have written there. Because there is something going on. There are some teachers which claim that the law, because we always say we are not under the law, and we always say the law of Moses is not for us. It's not for the New Testament. It was an old covenant. So they say, there are people who say the law, even the 10 commandments, were observed or were kept since the beginning. They cite a number of the saints of the old, which they claim that they kept the law of Moses. And then they say in Exodus 20, it was just coded. It was just a coded law of the 10 commandments and other stuff which were given by Moses. Otherwise, people were always keeping the 10 commandments. That's what some people claim. And this is where they take their claim from. Let me go right there in Genesis number 26. Let's see what it says. Genesis chapter number 26. Let's go together and see. Chapter number 26, verse number 5. So in Genesis 26, verse number 5, this is where they take it from. This is one of the areas where they take it from. In fact, the major one. It talks about Abraham. It says, because Abraham obeyed me and kept my requirements, my commands, my decrees, and my laws. Right? So because the term there, the word laws, if you go to the Hebrew, it is translated. It is a translation from the Hebrew word Torah. Torah. You know what they say Torah is? They say Torah is the 5 books of Moses. So they say Abraham kept the Torah. Yet Abraham existed way before Moses existed. But still the Bible claims, especially this verse in particular, it claims that Abraham kept the Torah, which means Abraham was keeping the law. Abraham was keeping even the 10 commandments from the beginning, before they were compiled or before they were coded. These moral laws, before they were coded into the 10 commandments by Moses. Okay. So one thing that we need to know, or we need to understand, is that the word Torah does not only mean 10 commandments. The word Torah simply means law, laws. Simply means law. That's the simple definition of Torah. Right? It simply means laws. That's how it is transferred. So they say Abraham kept the law. Abraham kept the commandments. Right? Which I do not agree with. I do not agree with. I agree with the fact that Abraham kept the laws of God. But we need to understand which laws he kept. I believe God gave to Abraham laws. God gave laws to Abraham. And those laws were given direct to him. Those laws had nothing to do with the 10. Those laws had nothing to do with the 10 commandments, right? Now, if you want to prove that this is not correct, the first thing to prove is, apart from the word law, what it means, if you claim that Abraham obeyed God's commandments and obeyed God's decrees and God's laws, we are saying then Abraham was obedient to the 10 commandments. But do we really know who Abraham is? And do we really know the life of Abraham? Did he really keep the 10 commandments? Are you sure? If we claim that Abraham kept the 10 commandments, have we forgotten that this is the same Abraham who took a second wife, who is Hagar? He had his wife Sarah. Then he went on to take Hagar to a second wife. Not only did Abraham marry Hagar, he also married another wife called Keturah after Hagar. After he drove Hagar away at the instruction of God, he married another woman called Keturah. Is that not breaking the law? Is that not breaking the 10 commandments? That is breaking the 10 commandments. Is that not breaking even the Torah? That is breaking even the Torah. Okay, that is breaking the Torah. But that's committing adultery, right? That is committing adultery. And we know also that in the Torah, what Abraham did was not permitted. If you read through Leviticus, you will see that in Abraham's marriage to Sarah, he actually married his sister. He actually married his sister. Something which was forbidden in the Torah. It's forbidden. It was not permitted, but Abraham did it. He married his own sister. Was that allowed? No, it wasn't. So if we claim that Abraham obeyed the Torah, then we are seeing where he broke the Torah. He did not obey it. So that shows you clearly that Abraham, when God said Abraham kept the Torah, he is not referring to the laws of Moses, but there were specific laws which God gave to Abraham, specific commandments which God gave to Abraham directly, and Abraham did them. There are so many. If you go and read, you will see God meeting with Abraham. He commands Abraham to go and sacrifice his son. He did it. He obeyed, right? He commanded also Abraham to circumcise. He commanded Abraham to circumcise his children, including himself. And he listened and he did it. Maybe one will say that is also found in the Torah. I will explain to you very soon that the circumcision which Abraham did and the circumcision which Moses commanded Israel to do were different. The two were very different. What was the difference? The difference is the circumcision which they did under Moses, it was for justification. It was for justification, right? But yet the circumcision which Abraham did was not for justification, because Abraham was commanded to do the circumcision after he was already justified. You find that is there in Romans chapter number 4. You read through it where a question is posed there. The writer, which is Paul, posed a question asking when Abraham was justified. And he says it was before circumcision. And then he says circumcision was then given to him as a sign. As a sign. Circumcision was to be given to him as a sign, and circumcision was given to him as a seal of the righteousness which he had already before he was circumcised. You see? So the circumcisions are even different. So you will see a number of people in the beginning, before Moses came with the law. You see a number of them that broke several laws, several books of the Torah. So that means they were lawbreakers. If we claim that they were keeping the 10 commandments, that is not true. That is not true. It's not true. So the 10 commandments were not there. The Torah, the laws of Moses rather, were not even given. They were not there. They were not there. So let us not be limited or be deceived by the word Torah. If it is not deception, but it's misunderstanding. Let us not misunderstand the word Torah to think that it refers to the laws of Moses. No. It doesn't only refer to the laws of Moses. Right? Now let me show you what is written in the book of Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy chapter number 5. Let's go there and see what is written there. Deuteronomy chapter number 5. Verse number 2. Or verse number 1. Let me read from verse number 1. And Moses called all Israel and said unto them, Hear, O Israel, the statutes and judgments which I speak in your ears this day, that you may learn them and keep and do them. the Lord our God made a covenant with us in Horeb. Horeb, that is Sinai, Mount Sinai. The Lord made not this covenant with our fathers, but with us, even us who are all of us here alive this day. I hope you are listening here. Now, when Moses called Israel together, these are the words he spoke to them. He says, this is a disclaimer. Now listen, he put a disclaimer already. He says, he talks about statutes, judgments, and so on. Then he says to them, keep them and do them. Then verse 2 says, the Lord our God made a covenant with us in Horeb. Then he says, it was not with our fathers, right? It was not with our fathers that the Lord made this covenant with us, with all of us who are alive here today. So he places a disclaimer. He says this covenant, the Lord never made it. He never did it with our fathers. If you know fathers, the Abrahams and Jacobs and Isaacs, those were, and so on, those are the fathers was talking about. And some who died even in Egypt and so on. So he says the Lord did not make this covenant with our fathers. So if the Lord did not make that covenant with our fathers, it means therefore that this covenant was specifically given to them. It was specifically for Israel. The 10 Commandments were specifically for Israel. The Torah was specifically for Israel. Right? It was given to Israel. That was the first time when God made this covenant with them. It was not an improvement. It was never an improvement from what God was already doing in the beginning. Right? So we should not mislead ourselves to try to mix up things which do not even mix up. We realize that when you go through the Bible, even if you go to Genesis, when you see the first man, Adam, in the garden, when he lived there, he was never given the 10 Commandments. He was never given the 10 Commandments. There were specific laws which God gave to him, specific commandments which God gave to him, and we know those commandments. And those are the commandments which Adam failed to keep. Those are the commandments which Adam failed to keep. And that's why he lost the garden. He lost that garden. He was kicked out by God because he failed to keep those particular commandments. God told him clearly not to eat from the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden. He told him not to eat from it. And he said, when you eat, the day you eat, the consequence is you die. So you must not eat. He gave him that special command. He commanded him even to eat all the trees of the garden. He said, you are free to eat. You are free to eat. It was a command. So he gave him specific commandments which we understand. There was nothing like the 10 Commandments there. It wasn't, somebody says, Cain, somebody talks about Cain and Abel. They talk about Cain and Abel. They say when Cain killed Abel, you know, Cain killed his brother Abel, right? He killed his brother Abel. After killing his brother Abel, then God came to him and asked him why he did it. Why he did it. And there was a certain penalty that he was given after he killed his brother. So people claim to say, so he already knew one of the 10 Commandments which says, thou shalt not kill. It's commandment number what? 7. No, not 7. I can't remember which number is that. It says, thou shalt not kill. So he had the commandment already, one of the 10 which says, thou shalt not kill. Now what we fail to understand now is, go back to the Torah and read. What did it say if somebody kills another? It said, if you kill another person, you must also be killed. But let's look at what God did to Cain. Did he kill him? No, he did not kill him. He did not kill him. Actually, he cursed the earth. He said the ground is now cursed because it has swallowed the blood. It has swallowed the blood of your